Hey guys, my name is Bando, this is Brooks of Bando, and today I'm talking about something that I really don't enjoy talking about. Um, it has many names. The woke mind virus is one of them that I quite like. But basically, it is the infiltration of all and any entertainment by these weirdos. And what I want to talk about today is what's the end point for this in relation to Warhammer. So Games Workshop recently has been under a bit of flack for, being a bit woke, and it's, some people didn't like certain characters appearing on covers of books, and some people don't like female custodies, etc., etc. Now we've got stuff about trans people and Trans Sisters of Battle or something. I haven't bothered reading it because I really, 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 really don't care about it. I just want to play my escapist game to escape that sort of thing. But I'm not allowed to, because it must be dragged into everything. And we have here another property that is undergoing the same thing. Dungeons and Dragons teaches us that diversity is strength. To me, diversity is strength has that same kind of ring to it that, that work shall set you free has. It is such an awful kind of slogan. Diversity is strength. No. In an investment portfolio, maybe. But sometimes no. Diversity for diversity's sake is arbitrary and stupid. And this thing with Dungeons and Dragons has recently been changing over the last couple of years. A lot of key established things to chase the mythical, wider modern audience, which has had a predictable result, to be honest. For those of you who don't know, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop pen and paper roleplay game, which basically means there's no game board, there's no miniature, there's no actual board for the game to be played with. It's supposed to be played in your head originally. Now, a lot of things have changed over the years. A lot of people now use miniatures. A lot of people now use, a lot of apps. They use a lot of miniatures, a lot of terrain, and it's kind of getting closer to a war game. In fact, modern Dungeons and Dragons is very similar to how very, very early Warhammer 40k was. They are kind of similar. I mean, the whole kind of building a character and all that, and with the miniature, is very similar to how you would build a character in Rogue Trader. But you just have more of them. Dungeons and Dragons is very much a kind of Tolkien-esque fantasy. You have your humans, your elves, your dwarves, gnomes, that sort of thing, halflings, and then you have evil things like orcs and dragons and goblins, gnolls, kobolds, that sort of thing. And your adventurers would go out and they would go to dungeons, they would find treasure, they would defeat monsters, and it was all done with the power of your imagination, and there were certain things that kind of were just understood by the community. Because Dungeons and Dragons, the books have given us several different universes to play in. One of the most popular being the Forgotten Realms, which are featured in a large number of video games. Things like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate 1 to 3, Neverwinter Nights. What's the other one? There's another one. Might actually just be another Icewind Dale. I can't remember. There's been a lot of D&D games, and a lot of them have kind of featured. The Forgotten Realms, the Sword Coast, that sort of thing. Very popular area. So in this you have certain rules, as I covered in a previous video, canon matters. Things like certain rules like Dark Elves. Now, Dark Elves in World of Warcraft, no, in Dungeons and Dragons are not like Dark Elves in Warhammer. In Warhammer, they are just an offshoot of High Elves, who have developed a sense of cruelty, and they really, they're very bitter. They're very kind of evil. They take out a lot of their anger on other people. Whereas in Dungeons and Dragons, they're now a really nice, misunderstood rebel race who are actually supposed to be, just as nice as everyone else. Oh, and so are the orcs. Yeah. What? So yeah, the orc. The creature invented by Tolkien as a bastardized, horrible, mutilated, broken, corrupted by Melchior, just shadow of its former self, turned into the evilest of evil, the flesh-eating, sun-fearing, horrible monster that raids and pillages the lands of men and elves, is now a morally complex and deep culture. As for the Dark Elves, or the Drow, who are black, as in coal black, and skinned, and white hair, if you've ever seen the famous or infamous Community episode where they play D&D, you'll know that one character decides to dress up as a Drow, and everyone thinks he's just doing blackface. Which is why you can't actually watch that episode anymore, because everyone else thinks it's blackface. They're evil. The Drow are evil. The Drow worship spiders and spider monsters and live underground and kill and hunt people and will literally raid the surface for prisoners. But now they are a deep and complex people. So what has this got to do with Warhammer? Well, this is the end goal. You see, the people who are pushing, and I don't like the term woke. I think woke's stupid because it doesn't have a concrete definition, and that's, the easiest defense is, oh, what's woke? Oh, just something I don't like. No. So these people, their end goal is the total destabilization of everything that's been established. So our rules in Warhammer are, as in the setting, humanity and the Imperium are the good guys. Yes, horrible people, awful place to live, worst TripAdvisor rating you'll ever see on any place ever. But in the setting, they're the good guys. That can't stand to these people. And the evil races will have to be made equal. So we'll see more and more push for things like the Necrons to be considered good, and more team-ups with the Necrons, and more team-ups with the Orcs, and the Orcs will become, more and more complex and, culturally diverse, and all these other buzzwords they like to throw around. Because one of the arguments they make is that all of these horrible evil races are somehow just a thinly made metaphor for black people. Which is wild, because last I heard, Warhammer was satire. Don't you know that Gazkul's a piss take of Margaret Thatcher? And she wasn't black, apparently. Actually, she did have red hair, which means she probably would be cast as that, as if Netflix ever made a show about her. Damn. Oh, that's a conundrum, isn't it? So yeah, this is what would happen, is that you wouldn't be able to have the setting. The war in Warhammer will eventually have to go away, because the struggle will stop being about differences in race and these cultures, and will probably move towards being more about the class struggle. And there is no setting in which 40k where the Dark Eldar are deep and complex, morally grey characters. They're evil. Evil exists, okay? Evil exists and good exists. There are arguably clear, defined endpoints at that spectrum. One is good, one is bad. Now, for some reason, a large group of the population seems to have flipped these two round and think that what we as a society have deemed to be good is now the most heinous of evils. You only have to watch the Eurovision Song Contest, of all things, seeing a trans Satanist on stage being lauded as brave and heroic and looking demonic and being hailed as the greatest thing ever, to know that morally we have inverted our society. So everything that is evil will be pushed to be everything good, and everything good will be turned into being the evil, which is why you will only see at the moment the constant rehash of in comic books of things like Superman's I can't remember what it's called now. Oh, that's really screwed the flow of that video, hasn't it? The Injustice storyline, where Superman basically, his girlfriend dies and he just cracks and he starts killing the villains and blaming other heroes for doing it, and basically becomes a super tyrant. And that's what you see. It was one of the most common retold stories in Superman, because the idea of Superman being, justice, peace, love, and all that, the American dream, him being Clark Kent and being that bright-eyed, clean, smart, friendly, compassionate, all-American hero is the worst thing in the world to these people. Oh my god, a white man is physically fit, able, and healthy, and he's in a happy heterosexual relationship, and he has a loving relationship with his family, his parents, and he has a job, and he doesn't hate his boss, and he lives in a capitalist society, and these people are miserable, they hate you, and they want to destroy everything we enjoy. They are miserable. They hate their parents. They hate their job. They hate society. They hate the fact that they've got to pay back their student loans that they willingly took. And they're going to make you hate everything too. They have to destroy it. We can't have any heroes. The villains must always be justified. You'll notice it now. Now I've told you to look for it. Go back and look at basically every single big blockbuster movie for the last 15 years, and all of the big sort of Marvel films, all of that sort of stuff. You'll see that the villains are usually humanized. They're given more depth. They're given the justification that actually they might be right, and then they're usually got rid of very quickly with some stupid quippy remark. You cannot have evil characters anymore. The orcs will be made to be more comical and football hooliganish, but they won't be brutal. You won't hear about them breeding humans as cattle and using them as slaves. You won't hear about the Necrons stealing thousands of blanks to make pariahs. We don't even hear about that anymore anyway. Oh god, eventually we're going to have the Gene Stealer cultists being depicted as the good guys, aren't we? Oh. The end goal has to be that war has to leave the Warhammer. Because these people don't care about it. They don't want to play a war game. They just want you to have the conversations about politics that they want you to have in every aspect of your life. I want to play D&D, and I want to know that when I run into an orc, it's evil. I want to know that if I run across a Necron in 40k, that I'm not going to accidentally kill a father of 4 who's just trying to earn a living for his poor, starving scarab family back home. There is no moral grey area in this. It is a fantasy escapist game. Good is real. Evil is real. I will not simp for the side that literally has hell as its home base versus the side where you have a literal god figure with an angel son. It's pretty clear cut when you look at it. Now, I know there's depth to the story, and that's what makes a good story. And there is interpretation. But I am not going to be taking someone like Conrad Kurz and actually simping for him because he's a morally grey and complex character. No, he's a messed up psychopath who had a shitty hand in life. Deal with it. Alright. My name is Bando. This is Brexit Bando. I'm well aware of the irony of me having several traitor armies and saying that. I'm well aware of all of the evil things that the Imperium do. So don't at me. I spend far too much time on Twitter now dealing with you weirdos already. I'm burnt out on it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Except you, Spill. You can go. If you'd like to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, hit the share button. Don't even have to share it anyway, you just hit the button. If you are shopping in the UK and trying to get those last tasty deals in before the price rise, don't forget to hit up Element Games. You can get yourself 15 to 25% off their games, and use my reward code JAM737 at the checkout to double your number of reward points. You get those reward points, you can get yourself stuff for free, and that then gives me some as well. That's the best way if you're shopping to support the channel. It's not a referral link. I don't get a kickback from them. That's 100% something you can do as well. And if you've got a code from Element Games, stick it in a comment. I'll add it to my spreadsheet, and every time I order something, I'll move down and I use the next one. So if you get one, if you put it in there, and suddenly you start seeing yourself getting some points, you know where they're coming from. Alright guys, stay safe. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.